I understand the Right Honourable Helen Clark wishes to say a few words. The Right Honourable Helen Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I thank all the leaders who have spoken today for their very generous comments, and also the House for the vote in support of the Prime Minister's motion. It's really only been possible to mount a successful campaign for this position because of very widespread support across political boundaries. And that started at home, and it has been the tradition with candidacies of this kind, and others have mentioned them, the Right Honourable Don McKinnon, Right Honourable Mike Moore, that matters are handled in a bipartisan way. So I want to thank John Key for his early and upfront and enthusiastic support. I know, John, you picked up the phone, you worked the international meetings you've been at, and that's been very greatly appreciated. And providing you don't change your cell phone number, you'll still be getting texts from me from time to time. The New Zealand Labour Party, of course, has had its total goodwill with me in this. After many years of service, I guess we're joined at the hip, and that will always be the case. I want to particularly thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Trade for the incredible support they gave me with the Prime Minister's full blessing. That emanated out from head office in Wellington to posts around the world, but particularly in New York, and Permanent Representative Rosemary Banks led her team there in an incredible, astute and effective lobbying effort. There were many other governments who were supportive. The Pacific family strongly endorsed the candidacy from the time our Prime Minister raised it at the Pacific Island Forum Leaders Meeting in Port Moresby. Kevin Rudd was particularly supportive, as was the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs, and other old friends like Prime Minister Gordon Brown and the Prime Minister of Norway, Mr. Stoltenberg, were early out of the blocks, but there have been many others, too numerous to mention. All who have spoken today have referred to the huge task ahead. Here in New Zealand, we feel the effects of recession, we feel the effects of erratic climate, we feel the effects of high food prices, high fuel prices, water issues. How much more then do those who live in the poorest countries on earth feel these pressures? They feel them tremendously, and particularly at this time of recession, things are pretty desperate for many of the world's people, and those are the issues to deal with immediately. In the wider context, I'm very grateful for the many leadership opportunities which New Zealand has given me, which have enabled me to be a credible contender for this position. I couldn't have done that if I hadn't had the opportunities that this small country has made available. In the relatively near future, I will give my valedictory speech to the Parliament, and I'm told, Mr. Speaker, that the convention is that for former Prime Ministers there is no limit on time. But, of course, judgment will be exercised on that, as in all things, by me. But other comments can wait until that time. But for now, can I thank everyone who's spoken for the kind words that you've said, and that will be something special for me to take with me to New York. Kia ora.